So I've had my Pixel Fold for 6 months now, and by far, it was my favorite phone of 2023. But is it worth it in 2024? Well, let's get into it in my long-term review of the Google Pixel Fold. I've waited years for a Pixel Foldable, and Google finally delivered. But we're in 2024 now. Is the Pixel Fold still worth it? With new foldables on the horizon in 2024, should you even consider the Pixel Fold? As we go through my experiences of the last 6 months with the Pixel Fold, the answers should begin to reveal themselves. So as I said, I've waited years for Pixel to finally release their foldable device. For years, Samsung has had their Z Fold series of devices, but I'm not really a fan of Samsung's One UI. Their software design decisions don't really work for me. I've been a Pixel guy. I should say I've been a Nexus guy since before Pixel came out. But I enjoyed the Pixel experience. So when Google finally announced that they'll be releasing a Pixel Fold last year, there was no question I was ready. And then even more so when images leaked of the Pixel Fold. The form factor was different than the Samsung Z Fold. I never liked the slim outer display of the Z Fold. It's very cramped for typing, and it's not as comfortable to use as a smartphone closed. So the Pixel Fold's form factor and different aspect ratio are really what drew me to the device. To me, this form factor is by far the most comfortable to use and hold in one hand. The one-handed user experience is second to none when it comes to the book-style foldable devices. My one nitpick here was just the build materials they decided to use, because the device is a little heavier than I'd like. But that drawback aside, the device is still a joy to use. And that design decision does make the device feel a little bit more premium and solid in the hand. Now, talking about build quality, that'll lead me into one of the big question marks I had with this being Google's first generation foldable device. How durable would it be? And how would their first take at a foldable hinge be? And they passed with flying colors. The hinge on this device does not feel like a first generation hinge. After 6 months, the hinge feels as robust as it did when I first took it out the box. It still maintains the same smoothness and resistance needed to maintain the different postures at any position that you stop folding it at. They did a great job with the hinge. And because of that hinge, you get a lot of flexibility with a device like this. The ability to go from a compact size smartphone that's easy to use with one hand, that still provides the large screen experience of a tablet, giving you a great screen for watching video, reading ebooks, browsing the web, or using the productivity apps provided by Google and Microsoft. Once you've had a folding device like this, there's no going back. This is the future of smartphones. Being able to take the place of multiple devices in a small compact smartphone form factor. And more people who are exposed and get to use this, the more people who realize that this is the way forward. And for those of you who actually care about this kind of stuff, this is actually kind of a flex. If you're in a lounge, or if you're in a restaurant or a store, and you open up this foldable display, people will notice. I can't tell you how many questions I've gotten in a store, at a restaurant, when I open up my display. What smartphone is that? And a lot of those questions end up coming from iPhone users. When you talk about the hinge, you can't really talk about it without mentioning the crease. Yes, there is a crease, and as you begin to use the device, the crease kind of just disappears. It's not really an issue anymore. It's kind of like when iPhones first came out with the notch on the display. Everyone talked about how outraged they were about this notch on the display. But as people got it, guess what? No one talked about it anymore. Same thing when the hole punch happened on the displays. Everyone was talking about, oh, there's a hole on the display, they don't like it. Guess what happened? That hole punch still exists and nobody talks about it now. Yes, creases are getting better. If you look at the crease on the OnePlus Open, that's the least amount of crease I've seen on a foldable device. So they're getting better, but trust me when I say, when you're using the device, you're not really noticing the crease. So we can kind of use this to get into the displays. First, we'll talk about the outer display, because the outer display is by far the best of the two. This outer display is what really drew me to the device. It's a 5.8 inch, 120 hertz panel that gets as bright as 1550 nits, and it's a joy to use. Google nailed it with outer display. It's perfect for typing, perfect for one-handed use. You don't have to stretch all the way to the top to swipe down your notifications. You can type easily, two-handed or one-handed. This is the perfect outer display, and I'm sure you've seen many reviews say the same. Now, the inner display is not as perfect, but it's so useful. This is what transforms the device. The inner display is a 7.6 inch AMOLED display that runs at 120 hertz too, just like the outer display, but only gets as bright as 1450 nits. I shouldn't say only, because it's plenty bright. Although I do enjoy using it, there is one drawback with it that we'll get into later in the video. So now let's get into performance. For me, performance has been buttery smooth. And sure, the competitors have quote unquote the more powerful processor. Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is a great processor, but with Pixel UI and all the great optimizations that's utilized in the Pixel experience, you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference. Battery life for me has been average, non-spectacular. Nothing terrible, but nothing great either. On a normal day, I can get through the day till 11 o'clock with 20 to 15% battery left. But on a day I'm pushing it hard, for example, using Google Maps throughout the day and taking many photos and videos, I'm definitely gonna have to top off at some point during the day. So quickly, I'm gonna get into my likes and dislikes. My likes, they're pretty quick, as we somewhat discussed them already in the video. I love the form factor. Amazing one-handed use. Perfect use of an inner display. I love the landscape aspect ratio. It's great for watching videos, reading ebooks, browsing the web, checking your email, dual pane. Productivity is improved and increased within the landscape orientation. It's just like having a smartphone and tablet all in one. Can't go wrong. And my final like is one thing I didn't get to yet, and that's one of the two reasons why you get a Pixel device. One, you get it for the Pixel experience. The buttery smooth, simple experience. Two, you buy a Pixel for their cameras. And the Pixel Fold does not disappoint with its cameras. One of the things that people were concerned about with foldables in the past is that the camera was always compromised. There's no compromise here with the Pixel Fold. If you want the foldable, it's a great point and shoot smartphone camera. The Pixel Fold is the one for you. When you take a picture on the Pixel Fold, you're not concerned that you need to take multiple shots in order to get a good photo. If any of you caught the MKBHD blind smartphone camera test, if you saw the results, you might already be aware, but the top 3 devices in that blind smartphone camera test was 1, the Pixel 7a, Pixel's affordable device of last year, won smartphone camera challenge. Number 2 was the Pixel 8 Pro, which I'm actually recording this video on. And number 3 was the Pixel Fold. So you buy a Pixel for its camera. Now let's get into my dislikes. First off, I love the device, but what I dislike the most is the price. Now, being a smartphone enthusiast for many decades, I know what goes into making these smartphones. I know the amount of R&D is substantial. It takes quite a bit of money to develop and research when creating a smartphone, especially a foldable one at that. And that's not even factoring in the actual parts and components, the internals that are used for the foldable device, the cost to develop the hinge, and so forth. So I understand where the price comes from, but that don't mean I gotta like it. It just is what it is. Right now, if you want a foldable device, you gotta pay to play. But I don't like that price. Now, my second dislike is a little nitpicky, and it has to do with the inner display. Remember what I said I'd get back to later on in the video? Well, as much as I like using it and how useful it is in use, it's very reflective and glossy. And it's a fingerprint magnet. It collects smudges galore. So hopefully they can address that with the Pixel Fold 2. The plastic coating they decided to go with is just too glossy. I often find myself wiping down the display to clean off the fingerprints and the smudges because it picks up oils and fingerprints way too easy. Number 3, the weight, as I mentioned before. And that's partly a gift and a curse. The gift is, it feels very premium. It feels expensive. The curse is, it will weigh down your pockets. It is the heaviest of all the book-style foldable devices. So just keep that in mind, but it doesn't hamper the usage. It's just something you'll notice. My next dislike is battery life. Battery life is just average. I'd love to see them work on battery longevity in the next Pixel Fold. I think part of that probably will be due to the chipset. It's going to have a better chipset than what we currently have. So I do believe it's going to be more battery efficient. And we should get better longevity on the next one. But battery life is still decent, it's still usable with the current Pixel Fold. It's just something I wish was a little better. That's all. And lastly, for a device like this, I would love to see pen or stylus support. I think many people would love to utilize a stylus or pen, especially when it comes to note-taking, using the inner display, and all the additional features that come with using a stylus or pen input on a device, like you might have come accustomed to on a tablet, or even those 2-in-1 Windows PCs. There's so many applications that you can use it with. You just wish that was also something that you could do on the Pixel Fold. Let's see what they'll do with the Pixel Fold 2. So now that leads us back to the question I posed at the top of the video. Is the Pixel Fold worth it in 2024? Well, the answer is not so simple. It's actually quite nuanced. If you're a normal smartphone user who's grown tired of the standard slab style smartphones, and you just want something different, something that might excite you now, then at the right price, I would recommend this over any other device. Because I think entering the foldable devices, this is the most inviting and easy to use of all the ones available to us here in the US. The form factor is perfect. The Pixel UI, the Pixel experience caters to ease of use, AI optimizations, smart suggestions that just makes using a smartphone so much more inviting. Not to mention the fact that you're getting the best camera experience out of any of the foldable devices. Yes, if you look at specs, you may see higher things on the spec sheet from the Galaxy Z Fold or the OnePlus Open even. But as a point and shoot smartphone, out of all the foldables, this is the one to beat. So if you can find a great deal on this device, Google and the carriers have been offering great deals over the last few months. And I'm sure that will continue as the weeks and months go on throughout the year. So if you get a great deal with a few $100s off, don't hesitate to pull the trigger. I think you'll thoroughly enjoy using this device. And once you get started using a foldable, there'll be no going back. So now leading into my second part of the answer, is it worth it in 2024? Now, if you're a spec-headed smartphone enthusiast or an early adopter who doesn't already have a Pixel Fold, there are a number of things to consider, right? One, the Pixel Fold came out in July of 2023. That was prior to the Pixel 8 series coming out. The Pixel 8 series debuted the Tensor G3 chipset, which is now in the Pixel Fold. So it's a 6 months old device on last generation's chipset. So if you're a buyer in this camp, then more than likely, you'd probably be looking at the OnePlus Open or the Samsung Z Fold 5. Mind you, both are great devices, but not as simple and easy to use as a Pixel. Spec-wise, they have the advantage over the Pixel Fold. And then considering what options are coming in 2024, then I would probably say this device isn't for you. But I think you already knew that. With all that said, the Pixel Fold is a pleasure to use. And right now, it is still the device of choice for me. I still can't wait to put my SIM back in the device once I'm done reviewing other phones. Specs aren't everything, and with the Pixel software optimization, the device runs buttery smooth. No hiccups, no pauses. To me, in my opinion, when you're using a foldable today, you're stepping into the future ahead of everyone else. One device that can replace many devices. That is the future of smartphones. So if you've been on the fence, leaning either way, to buy or to wait to see what 2024 has in store with new devices, I hope I've provided you with enough information that could help you make an informed decision about what your next device purchase will be. If you're interested in the Google Pixel Fold, I'll leave some links in the description below, as well as the OnePlus Open or the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. If you found my video today helpful, please smash that like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can be notified when I drop another video. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.